Okay, we're introducing Dr. Patrick Baker from Baker Chiropractic today. We brought him in on behalf of the Health and Physical Education Department here at Talawanda High School in our interest of wellness and nutrition and taking care of our bodies. And we thought he would be a great asset to speak to you guys on behalf of this. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Patrick Baker to Talawanda High School.
How's everybody doing this morning?
Good.
Good. Okay, I want everybody to stand up first. So what we're going to start with is called some Tabata training, okay? So all the time I hear that people don't have time to exercise. So I'm going to teach everybody a quick 10, 15 minutes we can do daily to help exercise, okay? So what we're going to do, I want everybody, does everybody have enough room to actually just kind of like run in place and tap their feet like this? Okay, without hurting your neighbor. So what we're going to do, this is called Tabata training. It starts with 20-second intervals. So for 20 seconds, I want everybody to run in place and then take a break for 10 seconds, okay? So when I say 3, we're all going to run in place for 20 seconds, okay? 1, 2, 3. Run in place. And then you're going to take a 10-second break. I hear some deep breathing back there. Okay, let's go again. 20 seconds. Okay, great. So, how many of you guys can do that for 10 minutes a day? Could you all do it? The average American kid doesn't get 15 minutes of exercise per week. So, studies have shown we need to start doing this. Can you all do that? Yeah. Okay, go ahead and sit down. How many fruits and vegetables should be consumed per day? How many? 3? 5? None? You should be consuming 5 to 6 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. By a show of hands, how many are doing that right now? Okay, so about a third. How much water should you be drinking per day? Half your body weight in ounces? Exactly. Who taught you that? Excellent. Good. How many times a day should you be eating? 30? 5 to 6? Exactly. So you should have like 3 full meals per day. And so that'd be like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then you can have supplemental meals. And those would be things like snacks. So who can think of some good examples, some good snack food? Carrots, perfect. Apples, good. Okay. Beans, nuts, exactly. So good answers. So we're really good educated group here, guys. Good job. Now, who knows what obesity is? Obesity? Overweight, exactly. So they did a study of 40 different countries. Guess where the United States ranked as far as obesity? Number 1. Number 1. Okay. You're right, you're number 1. The United States is number 1. 33.8% of all Americans are obese. Now, why do you think we're number 1 out of 40 different countries? Fast food. Lazy. Exactly. Those are all correct answers. So, what we need to do, the current system that we're in is not working. So fast foods, lack of exercise, those things are not working. So what we're going to teach you today is how to change those things, okay? 20% of American 4-year-olds are obese. So only in the United States are actually kids. And I have a picture here of a little child here. So 20% of American 4-year-olds are obese. So nowhere else in the world do we have this type of problem. Adolescent obesity, so that's the age you guys are at right now, has increased, actually tripled in the last 20 years. So tripled. So right now, we're at a critical state. So, if you gain 15 pounds of weight, that doubles your risk of type 2 diabetes. Do you all know what diabetes is? Yes? No? Okay. So let's talk about this for just 1 second. 22 pounds of weight gain increases your risk of heart attack by 75%. Obesity here doubles your risk of heart failure and triples your risk of breast cancer in women. Now, diabetes is a condition that there's two types. There's type 1 and type 2. So type 1 you're born with. Type 2 is actually, you cause that from things that you're eating or lack of exercise. So what happens a lot of times is you don't work out, you don't exercise, you eat processed foods, lots of sugar, and what happens is your pancreas can't secrete enough insulin to lower your blood sugar levels, and as a result of that, you develop diabetes. So just by gaining 15 pounds, that doubles your risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So 22 pounds of weight gain increases your risk of heart attack by 75%, and obesity doubles your risk of heart failure and triples your risk of breast cancer. Did anybody know that breast cancer, that's the number 2 killer of females in America? Number 1 is lung disease. Did you know that being overweight, did you know that there's a relationship between those two? A lot of people actually don't. Okay, so here's a myth we're going to talk about. Heart disease, cancer are normal with aging. So who thinks that heart disease and cancer are normal with aging? Does anybody think that? You do? Okay. So one person. The truth, heart disease and cancer are common, but only in North America are they're thought to be hereditary, but really it's all the things that we're doing. It's lifestyle choices. So when you hear your parents say something like, I'm overweight, I'm obese, there's heart disease in our family, really that doesn't have to be the case. It's the lifestyle choices that we make that actually cause that preponderance of you to get heart disease and cancer and things like that. Does that make sense? So if your parents if they're overweight, if they have a heart condition, high blood pressure, cholesterol, things like that, that doesn't mean that you have to also have it. Mythbuster number 2 here. The older you get, the fatter you get. No? Exactly not. So, this is another common myth here in the United States, but it's absolutely not normal. So, if you have your grandparents, if you were to look at pictures like 50, 60 years ago, look at those pictures, and you'd be surprised to see that the amount of, usually their faces are thinner, their bodies are more thin. So go back and look at your parents, or their parents' and look back at the old pictures, and you'd be surprised to see that they're actually more thin, their faces and their bodies. But if you look at today's family photos, the bodies are more round, the faces are more round, and that's all due to the lifestyle choices that we're making today. So here it says, my mom and dad have heart disease, and so will I get it? Why should I change my diet? Now, they've done studies in other countries like Japan, France, those countries, guess how much of their heart disease is compared to the United States? Way less, yeah. So, all this data is pointing that it's our lifestyle choices. The most common used appliance in the house, guess what that is? The microwave, exactly. So everything is hustle bustle. It's too fast paced. We don't have time to feed our kids proper food. Mom and dad are working 2 jobs. They're going to soccer practice. They're going to football practice and things like that. So we have to actually make the time to eat healthy though. Okay. Cancer, heart disease, and genetics. 5% of all cancers and heart disease comes from hereditary factors. So out of all the cancers, only 5% are actually due to hereditary. 95% come from lifestyle. So, that's what we just told you. Lifestyle, eating or lack of eating proper foods, proper nutrition, diet, and exercise. So 5% of all cancers are only due to genetics. So I have here, what's it all about? You have to make your own decisions. It has here a sign of a couch or a gym. So when we go home, we can choose to take a left, to sit on the couch, or we can take it right out the door and start to work out. So we want to select the right path, and that would be to the gym. Who knows what trans fats are? I stumped them for once. So trans fats, those are actually fats found in foods here. So if you look at Fruit Loops, how many students today had something like Fruit Loops, the box type of cereal by a show of hands? Okay, actually not too many. It's a good group. Okay, so trans fats are fats that they have no place in the body. That causes things like hypertension and high cholesterol. How about things like this, chewy granola bars? These are foods that actually contain trans fats that you might not be able to be aware of. Premium, like crackers, cookies, popcorn, these special peanut bars, Fig Newtons, crackers, and animal crackers. So all these things are examples of processed foods, and so these are things that you actually should be consuming. So there's only a couple of kids that actually raised their hands as far as who actually had box cereal. So let me ask you, what did you have for breakfast this morning? Pop-Tarts? Okay. So Pop-Tarts would be an example of a food that has, it's processed. So it's not very nutrient dense. And so that would be an example of a poor choice for breakfast. So somebody said eggs, so that would be an example of a good choice. So let's give you a practical example of what a good breakfast would be. So eggs, somebody said eggs. A good addition to that would be like whole wheat toast. So you have some whole wheat toast. And then in addition to that, you have some water. Okay, so eggs, whole wheat toast, some water. And you can actually throw, what other food group could you throw in there to make it more healthy? Fruit, exactly. Apple, banana, and you can actually throw some milk in there as well. So, a healthy breakfast. Oatmeal, that'd be a good choice, right? Instead of the Pop-Tarts. Water, a piece of fruit, some whole wheat toast, and you can have some milk or something like that with it. You can actually throw in some fruit juice too, although some fruit juice is high in sugar, but as long as it's 100% natural, you can throw some fruit juice in there as well. Okay, so tomorrow morning, when you all get up for breakfast, what aren't you going to have? Exactly, trans fats. So, boxed cereal, right? Pop-Tarts, and somebody said something else besides the Pop-Tart. Who said something else? Pepsi, yeah, that would be an example of a food that you would want for breakfast, exactly. Okay, so here I have a picture here. I'm going to name off these ingredients. Amyl acetate, amyl butyrate, amyl valerate, ethanol, benzyl acetate, benzyl isobutyrate, butyric acid, cinnamol isobutyrate, essential oils, ethyl lactate, ethyl methyl propyl nitrate, ethyl propionate, 10% alcohol, iodine, maltose-4, methylcinnamate, methylheptane carbonate, essential oil, nerol, forest, butter, rose, rum, ether, vanilla, and solids. Okay, so I have a book here with me today. So who can name this food, what I just named off there? It's a very common food that we all eat. Well, actually, some of you might be eating. I would never consume this, but. So here's a list of, there's about 80 different ingredients on here. Butter, margarine, okay. Syrup. So I'm going to give, let's narrow it down. I'm going to give you a hint. It's something you can drink. Okay. It's thick. You get it through a drive-through. Yeah. This is actually the ingredients of a strawberry milkshake from Burger King. So, what's interesting about this is there's no milk and there's no strawberries in this complete list of ingredients. So, who said strawberry milkshake? Did somebody say milkshake? Anybody? You did? Okay, who said milkshake? You did? Okay, so you get a book and I'll sign it at the end of the lecture, okay? So, good job. So who's going to go to the Burger King drive-thru to have some more, who's not going to go through? So basically, the next time, the reason I actually brought this is because the next time you guys go through a drive-thru, you have to understand that all these words in here are really hard to pronounce, even for me, and there's no way that you should be consuming things like this. And this is an example of a fast food. All these chemicals can't be metabolized by the body or digested, so make sure if you were to go through the drive-thru, I'm sure you won't be going through the drive-thru anymore today, but next time, be aware of all these different chemicals that you're ingesting. So. Okay, for lunch, how many students will be eating these Lunchables today? Anybody? So by show of hands, how many people pack Lunchables? Not bad, so just 1 or 2 people. Okay, so let's wait to see the list of ingredients on these Lunchables. It's worse. Okay, Lunchables. Look at this list of ingredients. So, artificially flavored water, gelatin, acid, sodium citrate, citric acid, aspartame, acetylene sulfate, salt, red dye number 4, phenylketonurex, contains phenylalanine, and enriched beach. Let's see, malted barley, sugar, soybean, yeast, wheat germ, dough conditioners, monoglyceride, sodium sterol, lactate, enzyme-modified soy lecithin, salt, gum, xanthan gum, artificial flavors, enzymes, and the list goes on and on and on. So, this is a list of ingredients. If grandma can't pronounce it, I can barely say half these things. It definitely should be consumed by the body. So, look at the list. It's even longer than the strawberry milkshake. Chicken McNuggets. By a show of hands, in the last week, how many students here had chicken McNuggets?
Not me.
Okay. Listen to your ingredients here. Modified cornstarch, sodium phosphates, chicken broth, chicken salt, natural flavors, vegetable oil, extracts of rosemary, monodisaccharides, triglycerides, enriched bleached flour, niacin, iron, thiamine, modified cornstarch, salt, baking soda, sodium, spices, wheat, dried wheat, cornstarch, and the list goes on and on. There's 38 ingredients, and they're mostly from corn. So basically, the next time you guys go through the drive-thru, you know not to get a strawberry shake, right? And then the chicken nuggets would be out as well. So interesting to hear about the McNuggets here. They also put some what they call anti-foaming agents, like I can't even say the word dimethyl polysilohexene. And so this is an anti-foaming agent in your chicken McNuggets. So according to the Handbook of Food Additives, this material is suspected carcinogen. Do y'all know what a carcinogen is? Cancer causing, and is established mutagen and reproductive effective. It is also flammable. So they're putting this anti-foaming agent in chicken McNuggets. So it's a carcinogen, it's a mutagen, that means it actually changes the cell structure, and it is flammable. So next time you're all going through the drive-thru, thinking about eating chicken McNuggets, think about these things. And then it says here that some of the ingredients, ingesting 5 grams of this anti-foaming agent can be fatal. And this is from the Gerson Healing Institute. So, chicken McNuggets. You know on this list of ingredients too, did you hear me say the word chicken? No, I didn't actually even see the word in there. So, yeah, it's all processed preservatives. So there's nothing good about chicken McNuggets. So what are some good animal choices here? So I have grass-fed beef, so that would be a really good choice for some healthy animal products. Free-range chickens, wild-caught fish, and dairy from natural sources there. So grass-fed beef, free-range chickens, wild-caught fish, and then dairy from natural sources there. Sugar. How much sugar in the last week do you think you guys are consuming? A lot? Okay. Why is that a lot? Everybody said that in unison. It's in everything? It is, yeah. So what's the number one product that contains sugar that I bet some students have probably had? Pixie Sticks? That's a good answer. That's 100% good. Okay? Pop. So how much? So 53 teaspoons of sugar a day. That's one, this is how much we consume. That's 1 5-pound bag of sugar every 10 days for every man, woman, and child. So 53 teaspoons of sugar a day. That's a lot. High fructose corn syrup. You all know what that is? Okay, that's like a real cheap sweetener derived from corn. They put it in almost everything. So high fructose corn syrup has increased from 0 in 1966. So that means in 1966, the consumption of high fructose corn syrup was 0. And now to 2001, guess how many pounds of fructose we consume per year? So it was 0 in 1966. 350 pounds? Okay, a little high. A little bit lower than that. Okay, so it's 63 pounds per person of high fructose corn syrup. You get to remember, in 1966, this didn't even exist, and so that's why, if you look at what we were talking about earlier, the graph of diabetes, that's the 4th leading cause of death in the United States, and so that shows us right there, it's lifestyle choices and our consumption of things like sugar, processed foods, and high fructose corn syrup that is causing the epidemic of diabetes. So, high fructose corn syrup has increased in daily intake from 27 tablespoons per day in 2004 to 53 tablespoons per day in 2006. So we basically doubled from 27 to 53. So does anybody know what type of products that high fructose corn syrup would be in? Okay. So things like actually bread, a lot of bread. So when you go to the store, I'm going to teach you guys how to read labels in a minute. So bread, cereals, protein bars, so juices, exactly. So there's a lot of different, it's almost in everything. So you have to be very astute to reading labels, and we're going to teach you guys how to read labels in a couple minutes, okay? So the number one source of sugar, soda. So 1/3 of dietary sugar comes from soda. How many cans of pop per day would you guys say you consume, on average? 3? What's the highest? How about 2 or more? If I show of hands, 2 or more? Okay, 4 or more?
Oh.
Okay, 5 or more?
Depends on the day.
6 or more? 7? Okay, so 6 or more cans of pop per day. Well, I can also tell you I've had 6 cans of pop in the last 20 years, so we need to have a diet intervention with whoever had 6 cans of pop per day. We need to modify that. So the average American consumes 55 gallons of pop per year. So 55 gallons of pop per year. Not in our house though. So high fructose corn syrup is the number one source of sugar and calories. Increased from 0 in 1966 to 63 pounds per person in 2001. So, based on what you've all learned today, what are we going to start to look for in foods? High fructose corn syrup. Yep. Because as we learned today, it's the #1 source of sugar and caloric and calories. Okay? So if we can modify by finding the high fructose corn syrup in foods, then we're going to be able to modify our diets. Okay? So the young gentleman said he consumes 6 cans of pop per day. So you would need to drink, let's see, 180 glasses of water a day to neutralize 1 pop. So in other words, it takes 30 cups of water to neutralize 1 can of pop. So whoever said 6, start drinking some water, like right now. Where's that water, Patty? So 1 can of pop takes 30 cups of water to neutralize the effects of soda. So we were talking about sugar, some hidden sources. Let's talk about that in detail. Pasta, sauces, lunch meats, canned foods, condiments, ketchup, mayo. So when you go home tonight, look at your ketchup, look at your mayonnaise, and look for high fructose corn syrup in there. You'd be surprised, it's in a lot of these things. Pizza, how many thought that pizza would contain sugar? Probably not a lot. Salad dressings, crackers. How many thought that crackers would contain sugar? Did you think of that? Not really. Fruit drinks, that's pretty obvious. Yogurt, soups, and breads. So these are all sources where the high fructose corn syrup could be hiding in places that you might not even know. Okay, so I'm going to teach you students how to read labels. So, when you see the words glucose, sucrose, fructose, lactose, those are all other words that actually describe sugar. So, anything with an O-S-E on the end of it actually is just sugar. So, glucose, sucrose, fructose, and lactose. Now, there's also some other sources of sugar, like maple sugar, maple syrup, sugar cane, candies. Those are all other things that you'll see on labels. And corn kernels, corn syrup, we talked about that. High fructose corn syrup, corn oil, cornmeal, corn starch, dextrose, xanthan gum, and maltodextrin. So anytime you see maltodextrin, D-E-X-T-R-I-N at the end of a word, too, that's also a sugar in there. So when you go home this evening or at lunch, turn over your boxes of the foods you're eating and see if there's anything that ends in OSE or like a maltodextrose or anything like that. And you're going to find that's actually, those are acronyms for sugar. So make sure to read your labels. So remember, the #1 source of sugar is high fructose corn syrup, and so it's hidden in a lot of foods. If we can start to eliminate that, not only will you students feel better, you'll study better, your teachers will appreciate it because sugar causes your brain, our bodies can't process sugar real effectively, so it interferes with our attention, our ability to concentrate, study. So by eliminating sugar, your grades will actually go up. How many want their grades to go up just by eliminating sugar? Exactly. Okay, so let's give you a practical example. So I took this Nutrigrain bar here. It has 13 grams of sugar, and it looks healthy. So they advertise it as, grain, fruit, best taste of 2004 by the American Culinary Institute. But I circled this label here. There's 13 grams of sugar in this multi-grain bar right here. And guess what it has in it? You tell me, guess what it has in it? Sugar, and what's that called? High fructose corn syrup. So this is a practical example of marketing. We live in a pretty slick marketing society where your mom and dad buy you some healthy stuff, these Nutrigrain bars that has 13 grams of sugar per serving and it has high fructose corn syrup. Okay? So somebody said they had a Pop-Tart this morning. So look at the first ingredients here. High fructose corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, fructose, sugar, maltodextrin, artificial flavors, and then also here I circled partially hydrogenated soybean, cottonseed oil, and again, high fructose corn syrup. So here it has corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, and then way down at the bottom, hydrogenated soybean oil and high fructose corn syrup again. So the Pop-Tarts, really, really bad. Yes? Yeah, it does say whole grain on the box, but that's very, very low on this list. It's very, very low down here. So the amount of whole grains, the sugar actually is way worse for you to consume. But that's why I told you earlier, an example of a healthy breakfast would be like I can have whole grain bread. And a really good example of like a really good bread is called Ezekiel bread. Have you all ever heard of Ezekiel bread? Okay, so that's an example of a really healthy whole grain bread. It's called Ezekiel bread. Okay, so this is an example of a Pop-Tart. So the first 3 or 4 ingredients are the high fructose corn syrup, sugar, and then we talked about the fructose, sucrose, it has those things in there as well. So basically all sugar. So beware of these white foods here. White breads, white rice, and white pasta. So all those things, when you consume white bread, white rice or white pasta, guess what happens once you consume those? Sugar. So your body converts those into sugar. So that's exactly why we said beware of the white food. So anything white basically is converted into sugar by the system. So the top 10 reasons to avoid sugar. Sugar is the primary dietary cause of obesity. But we all learned that today? Okay. Sugar increases the acidity of the body, so it throws off your chemical balance of the body. Sugar causes inflammation, so patients with like arthritis, stiffness in the joints, by eliminating sugar, a lot of their arthritic pains will actually go away. Sugar is the primary reason for high cholesterol. Sugar causes hormonal and metabolic imbalances. Sugar is your fast track to diabetes. We talked about that. What type of diabetes is lifestyle choices induced? Number 2, exactly. So number 1, you're born with it. Number 2, it's lifestyle induced. Sugar leads to heart disease. Sugar is an anti-nutrient. What does that mean? What is an anti-nutrient? Yeah. So there's no good reason why you should consume sugar. It doesn't have any nutritional value. And sugar promotes cancer. Now, why would sugar promote cancer? Because it's unhealthy, yes. And sugar also thrives in what they call an anaerobic environment. And so that means there's lack of oxygen. So sugar robs your body of oxygen and it produces an anaerobic environment. And cancer actually thrives where sugar is prevalent. So they've done studies with people that have been diagnosed with cancer. And so they go on these all-natural diets of fruits, vegetables, and grains. And cancer actually disappeared from their body once they started to eliminate sugar. And so if you're really sick, so if you're sick one morning, you don't feel like coming to school, one of the best things you can do to help boost your immune system is to not consume sugar. So I know in the past, your mom or dad might have told you, let's drink like 8 to 10 ounces of orange juice when you feel bad. Actually, by consuming that, actually sugar would decrease your immune system. So the best thing you can do is actually get lots of rest and water. And studies have shown that chicken noodle soup actually can help boost your immune system as well. So don't consume any other, the fruit juices that contain a lot of sugar. Just drink plain old water, get a lot of rest, and chicken noodle soup actually is a good one as well. So sugar is bad. What do you think could be worse than sugar? So sodium, true. What else is sugar? What else is in pop? Like some other products that actually isn't like normal pop, but yeah. How about diet pop? So exactly. So by show of hands, how many consume diet pop, diet drinks? Okay, by show of hands. So it's just a few. Pretty surprising, actually. So here's some examples of some artificial sweeteners. Splenda, sucralose, equal, and sweet and low. So these are examples of diet. These are in a lot of diet products, and these are really, really bad for you. I'm going to explain why. So here I have a list of these diet drinks: Diet Coke, Diet Dr. Pepper, Diet Mountain Dew, Diet Pepsi. So they designed these drinks, it's like the perfect solution, right? 0 calories, tastes good, diabetic can drink it, they won't gain weight. So what's the problem with these? Aspartame. So we've heard of aspartame before. It was discovered in 1965. It was developed by the GD Cereal Company, 150 times sweeter than sugar. So it's real palatable, and what that means, it tastes good for people because it's 150 times sweeter than sugar. But here's some damages, here's some damaging effects to the body. It can cause hypoglycemic brain damage, dementia, migraine headaches, viral infections, seizures, degenerative brain disorders, episodic violence. Does anybody have any episodic violent episodes here in this school? Okay. What is that? That means outbursts of uncontrolled anger. Anybody do that with their parents? I have that. Okay, you have that? Okay. Learning disorders. So, here's some other lists of aspartame sweet poison here. This list is by the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration. So here's some of their own side effects that they list: headaches, migraines, dizziness, seizures, nausea, numbness, muscle spasms, weight gain, rashes, depression, fatigue, irritability, tachycardia, which means the slowing of the heart, insomnia, vision problems, hearing loss, heart palpitations, breathing difficulties, anxiety, speech problems, loss of taste, tinnitus, ringing in the ears, vertigo, memory loss, and joint pain. That's it. So that's the Federal Drug Administration list of side effects from aspartame. So all those things. So any of the diet products, diet drinks, usually contain aspartame, sucralose, or NutraSweet should not be consumed. So what they did, they came out with Splenda. So they said Splenda is good. It's a natural derivative of sugar. It's supposed to be really good for you. Not so. So sucralose. If you look at all these ingredients here, these are some really intense ingredients. Basically, sucralose is Splenda, so when you see Splenda, it's not as good. The marketing was pretty savvy. They said it's naturally derived from sugar, so Splenda is an artificial sweetener as well, and so Splenda should not be consumed. So what's an example of a good substitute to these artificial sweeteners? Stevia. How many have heard of stevia? Okay, great. So stevia is approved. Xylitol. So stevia and xylitol are approved as far as sweeteners. And it's really accessible right now. They have it in Kroger's, Whole Foods. And so, like, if you drink iced tea and you like your iced tea sweetened, use stevia or xylitol. Okay, so has anybody heard that counting calories is super important? Like, in order to lose weight, you have to count calories? Okay, so that's really not true. So what I did here is I took a handful of almonds. So 22 almonds is about 152 calories. And then I also took a picture of a Twinkie here. That's also 150 calories. So if you took a handful of almonds, which is 152 calories, and a Twinkie, that's the exact equivalent in calories, this is an example of you can consume a Twinkie or a handful of almonds, which would obviously be more healthy. The almonds. However, the caloric intake is the calories are exactly the same. So this is an example. It's not about calorie counting. It's about eating nutrient-dense food. And we talked about all the nutrient-dense food that we're going to eat: fruits, vegetables, grains, cereals, and things, not cereals, nuts. And so this is an example of when it comes to calorie counting, it's not about the calories, it's about the nutrient-dense food. We've got our time? Okay, so any questions about anything that we talked about today? Sweeteners, high fructose corn syrup, what to eat, what not to eat. How about an example of a good lunch? Somebody give me an example of a really good lunch today. Salad, perfect. Ham and cheese, not bad. Just make sure it's not a white bread. Wheat bread, perfect. Fruit? Tuna, perfect. Vegetables? So all those things. How about for dinner tonight when you go home? Meatloaf? Great. Big old steak? Not bad. Grass-fed. How about a vegetable? And how about, what are you going to drink? Green beans or green beans? Okay. Water. Okay, water, exactly. So remember, water should be the most important beverage you all drink. Diet pops, and all those things, they have there's zero, they're anti-nutrient, you shouldn't consume any of those. Any other questions? What are you talking about? How to exercise? How many times a week? 3 times. How long? 60 minutes? Yeah, that'd be perfect. Ideally, if you can't do 60 minutes though, do 4 or 5 times a week and 20 minutes per day. Any other questions? Great, okay, thanks everybody, have a great day.